Hey guys, Zor here at ZorGameGeek.com. Another video on Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. 3 things that players hate. And I use the hate word very specifically here. They hate running away. They hate being captured. And they hate losing a magic item. So if you're a game master and you're building encounters and you are deliberately creating an encounter that is going to involve one of those 3 things, think hard about that. Use that once a campaign. Be very, very careful with it. So let's because the players are going to do everything they can to stop those things from happening, even against their own self-interest. And your campaign is going to come to a grinding halt. Your players are going to feel betrayed and they're not going to have fun at the table. Now, there's some things you can do to mitigate that, some hints, tips, and tricks. But boy, think thrice before building a counter that way. So, running away. This is heroic fantasy. And while in fiction books, there are times where the main character runs away, it's a nice second act complication where they see how bad the things are and they have to go and then do a training montage to come back and beat the big bad guy. But your player characters are not going to want to run away. So if you are building an encounter with the expectation they're going to run away, what you're doing is you're building an encounter for a TPK. What you're doing is building an encounter for essentially a capture. Unless you're saying, hey, look, these monsters that they're fighting on this runaway thing, they would eat them. They would kill your player characters. And so then you're bringing your campaign to a grinding halt, because if you think to yourself for a moment, oh, surely they're going to run away, you are dead wrong. That said, there's some things you can do to have an encounter where they run away. However, it's all going to require you to break the 4th wall. You're going to have to signal to the players that this is a different kind of encounter. And you're going to have to adjust their expectations out of initiative battle fight mode, because the moment you roll initiative, the moment you roll that initiative die, they are trying to solve the puzzle of the tactical combat that you're presenting to them. Now, some of you might say, hey, this is why I don't like Dungeons and Dragons, because it's all about combat. There's 3 pillars, but boy, there's some pillars that are more equal than others, and that's combat. And so, and this is a problem more to D&D, but other game systems have this as well, because they just don't, because they want to solve your puzzle. And if your solution is to run away, that's not in their mind solving the puzzle. That's giving up on your puzzle, and they will find that highly unsatisfying. So you have to break that 4th wall before the dice rolling begins. And what you're going to need to say to them is, hey guys, real talk here. You are not going to win this fight. This is a Sararak. This is an ancient mythic red dragon. And you guys are 5th level. This will be a slaughter if you stand and fight. So what this is going to be a chase scene. This is going to be a runaway scene. And we're going to, instead of doing individual initiative, we're going to do side initiatives. And each of you are going to have an opportunity to use a skill. Maybe it's a fight, maybe it's an attack roll, but you're going to be doing something on your turn that's going to help the group of you run away. And when you're preparing that, it's almost like a skill challenge from 4th edition. You got to think of your failure outcome and your success outcome. Success outcomes are always easy. They got away. But your failure outcome is going to be, they got away with a cost. It has to be. Because if you fail to get away, we have back to that other problem of players do not like to surrender. And so now we're going to have a combat. We're going to have a fight. Or success or failure with the cost, success with the cost, it's not a fight against the big bad, it's a fight against their minions. They managed to distract the big bad who is now over here, but their failure means that a patrol of draconians, a patrol of kobolds, a patrol of hobgoblins has found them instead. And this is a battle they can win and fight, but they got to do it quickly, or else we're going to have another chase scene as they call in reinforcements. So you can have a cascade of this going on. So that's my main tip for the runaway thing, is you've got to call it out. Same thing with the capture situation. But the capture situation is a little different than the runaway situation. Because in the capture situation, the players lose agency. And when they're captured, they recognize that they're at the mercy of their captors, who, if you're a asshole GM, you just kill them. So why not fight to the death? At least there's hope. But in a capture situation, there is no hope. So first tip and trick is you need to build some rapport with your table. They need to trust you that you're not that kind of game master, that you're not an asshole, that you're here for the fun of everybody. And this is an element of the story that you're going to be telling. But know going in, if you're making a capture scenario, that it's going to be rough, because the players they don't want to lose agency and control over their characters. And that kind of goes back to the safety tools, to session 0. And that is consent in gaming, because that's a bad example. You are removing their ability to consent to what happens next to their character because they are captive. So you got to be careful and light, and also signaling to that. The one area where it might be okay, and one of the published adventures does this, I think it's the Madness one with the demons, Underdark one, where you start off and you had been captured. Your opening event is you're prisoners and you're escaping, and you're now trying to get weapons. It's not Princes of the Apocalypse. I am drawing a complete blank on that one. Put in the comments below, we'll share it. So that is the only way, because you are starting not with taking away their agency, but you're starting by giving them that agency. You are captured, and here's your options of how to get out and escape and survive. So yes, they do not like to have their agency taken away. And as a game master, you don't want to take away the player's agency. That's not fun for them. It's not fun for your players at the table. If they're not having fun, then why the heck are you there? So finally, we have taking away their magic items. This one's a little harder for me to explain, besides the fact that people really tend to identify their magic items, especially if it's a core critical one. If you're a Hexblade Warlock and it gets taken away from you, you're going to do a lot to try to get it. Now, built into the Hexblade Warlock is their ability to summon it back at will. So that's a different thing. But your players, they aren't going to like it. They're going to do everything they can. It kind of goes back with being captured and having all their stuff taken. They're going to do whatever they can to get those items back. And so if you're going to have a pickpocket steal the items, use it sparingly and know that it is going to derail your campaign, at least until they get their items back. Or you're going to have it derail, but then as part of that adventure to get them back, they find replacements, or maybe they don't care as much about those other items anymore. But heaven forbid you take away their bag of holding, all their gear in it, because it's so easy to snitch and boy. Now, you may need to talk to them afterwards to kind of find out, hey, do they find this fun? So again, this is part of that conversation and consent in gaming piece of, are they having fun with this? Because if they're not having fun, then you may need to adjust your story arc for your upcoming sessions, where it's a little easier, a little quicker for it to get back. But if they are having fun with it, then great, go with it. God bless, because they're consenting to this ultimately. And all of these kind of come back to consent. If you're making a unsolvable puzzle, then your players have no agency. And if they have no agency, they are irrelevant to the campaign. They are irrelevant to the story. They did not consent to that. And the whole point is to have agency and tell the story together, not you railroading them through scenarios. So there you have it, guys. The 3 things players hate in Dungeons and Dragons: running away, being captured, and having their magic items taken from them. Hit the like and subscribe below, and go to ZordGameGeek.com. Keep gaming.